Good morning, everyone. I'll just get started because I know we're kind of crunched on time. But my name is Allison Rohrs, and I'm the director of the Institute for Energy at St. Francis University, which is in Loretto, Pennsylvania, so not too far from here. I am going to talk to you today about our PA wind maps that we have available through our website. There we go. Oh, actually, just real quick about our organization. We are a small nonprofit organization located within St. Francis University. We serve all of Pennsylvania, and we've been around since 2005. So I'm going to start talking about our static wind maps. So this is an example of a statewide static wind map that we have. It shows where the annual wind speed is above 6.5 meters per second in the blue, and that represents areas that are developable for utility scale wind turbines. So as you can see, the areas that have those green marks, those are where there are already utility scale wind turbines. So you can see that they very much follow that awesome wind resource. The orange represents where the wind speeds are between 5.5 meters per second and 6.5 meters per second. And that's an annual average wind speed, and that's not quite considered a potential right now for utility scale development, but likely in the future as larger rotors, taller towers, and better technology kind of will open up that as a potential for more development here in PA. If we move forward, here's our 30-meter wind resource map. So we look at 30 meters as kind of being the map that we need to consider for developing a smaller scale wind turbine. So this is if you're interested in installing a wind turbine in your backyard, and maybe some businesses that are interested in using wind to power their small business. So as you can see, they're kind of in the similar areas of the windy areas that I had in the previous slide, where the utility scale wind turbines are. So typically we need a wind resource of about 10 miles per hour or 4.5 meters per second or higher to be considered feasible to develop or put up a small scale wind turbine. So just as an example, also we have these static wind maps available at the county level. They are available at 30 meters, 50 meters, and 100 meters. So here's an example of Indiana County. You can see we really don't have too much of a developable utility scale resource here in Indiana, but it's pretty close by over in Somerset County. Same there. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our interactive mapping tools. So here's our website. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. We have a lot of great information about developing a renewable energy project specifically in Pennsylvania. So if you live in PA, if you have a business in PA, really take a look at our website if you're considering either doing a renewable energy project or upgrading your energy efficiency technologies. So to access our interactive map, go to our website, and you can scroll down and you click on this PA Wind Maps button. And that will take you to our St. Francis University Small Wind Explorer. So this mapping tool is free for everybody. You just have to set up an account. So it takes about 5 minutes to set up an account. But like I said, the registration is free, and all the data and reports that you can get at 30 meters are free as well. If you want a different hub height, like say 60 meters, 100 meters, you'd have to pay an additional fee for that. Okay, so once you have an account, you will have access to this. This is the basic interface. So you are able to put in your exact address right here. And so for this example, I've just used our location here at the Rustic Lodge. And you can see that the annual average wind speed here is about 3.9 meters per second. And like I said in the previous slide, you need at least 4.5 to even kind of consider a small wind turbine. So maybe this wouldn't be the best location, but if we look around, you can see that some of the higher elevations, some of the ridge tops, they actually are looking at in the 5 meter per second range and start to become feasible in this area. So this mapping tool gives you a lot of great information. Like I said, the annual average wind speed, and then we also get the monthly speed distribution. So this is going to show you what your annual output is going to be throughout the year, and the frequency at which it's going to come out of what direction. So I think that concludes my presentation. We're going to be here most of the day. Michael, would you like to stand up quickly? Michael will be here as well, so if you have any questions about developing a project in PA, feel free to stop by. We're going to have this mapping tool open at our station back there, so come on by and experiment with it.
And Michael right now is going to distribute a handout that he developed on financing for renewable energy, so that goes along with this panel. So.
All right, great. Thank you.
We have some questions. Maybe can we pick one for each of our panelists so that we can, distribute the questions? Dawn, can you come up front?
How about for Allison?
Lots for solar right
Do
here.
we have any for Allison?
John, how big does a farm need to be to make biodigesters financially feasible? This is now a rural application.
Right, that was one of the things that we considered, and I think the lowest number we had, if it's cows, it's 125 head. So, but again, it's one of those things. I also want to mention that at the end of the day, it's Class A waste that you can put out and use as a fertilizer. But to take an issue from the natural gas industry, we can do cooling as well. So the idea would be for a larger biodigester, you would need a number of farms to go in together.
Hal, how much cost reduction is possible by reducing installation costs by, for example, standardizing or streamlining?
That's a great question. We are always looking for better ways to improve on our methods that we use to install. Something that we did just recently at the Frick Environmental Center in Pittsburgh is we went to a new style of racking, which actually allows you to slide panels into grooves in the racking rather than having to bolt them to the top of it. And it's something that, like anything else, you have a learning curve that you have to kind of figure out how to do that. But then once you do that, there's an improvement with that technology. So it's things like that it gives you the opportunity. I don't have a percentage in my head of how much you could actually benefit from it, but it really is important to continually look at new technology in terms of the appliances that you use to do it. So.
Here are two for you, Dan. Let me combine them. One says, your turbine looks a little frail. What happens in very high wind conditions? Have you observed it over time? And how would your wind turbines fit into the wind speeds Allison is talking about?
The turbine that's out of Sonoma was subject to, I guess, a mini tornado, and one of the vanes broke away a little bit. I reinforced it, and a year or so later, Hurricane Sandy gave it a good test, and nothing happened except I think one flat blew out and had to be replaced. So it's very stable. It rotates away from the wind, and the oncoming vanes into the wind blow up out of the way of the wind and present a very small profile. So it's very good at high winds. And the second question, in terms, the main target really for commercial development of this would be residential, commercial, and industrial areas, especially industrial parks with those nice flat roofs everywhere. And the design, in wind tunnel testing, I actually had models that were starting up speeds of less than 1 mile per hour. They start to generate by the time you get to a fair amount, by the time you get to 5 miles per hour. So we're really looking at a wind turbine that's capable of, I think you're mostly talking about the horizontal axis wind turbines, is that the type?
I mean, our wind maps aren't dependent on the type of turbine.
Right, but in terms of the startup of when it begins productive, I think isn't that usually a horizontal axis, because this one takes, it's much lower startup speeds and productive speeds.
What is the data source for the wind map?
That's a great question. So the wind maps are made by a company called AWS True Power. They collect data through government agencies, through the wind industries, and then they use that Met Tower data to develop different model simulations that turn out to be both our interactive and our static map.
Okay, this one may be a bad one to end with because I think everybody should chime in on it. How are businesses working with local high schools, universities, elementary schools, and other technical schools to engage students in the technology for the future careers?
I guess I can start. I could probably talk about this for about 45 minutes, but our organization does a lot with local schools, universities, the community. That's a big part of what we do. So from classroom visits to power generation tours, we're really out there doing as much as we can.
As far as solar training goes, generally that's happening more on the vocational level than on the academic level, but there are programs that are out there, some that I've been involved with and helped get started. But a lot of the training happens actually in the field, and so what we found is that if we can hire installers, and oftentimes some of their wages is subsidized by groups like Job Corps and others that are looking to improve employment, that we can do a lot of the training that they need just by having them kind of apprentice out in the field. And so while educationally it's good to sort of spark people's imagination academically, we're finding that the actual hands-on training is what gets people kind of up to speed quickest.